Bladder problems are said to be one of the most irritating and debilitating conditions to have because it literally controls your day-to-day life and even your decisions and activities, your mind, your emotional stress as well. Now, emotional stress you're talking about that plays a much bigger role in the manifestation of this than what you might realize. Hi, my name is Evette Rose, author and founder of Metaphysical Anatomy, which is a book of 679 medical ailments and also the hidden emotional messages behind them that we all share universally. And welcome to today's topic, which is the psychological root causes of bladder problems, which is what this book is all about, including 670 more ailments. So, having said that, let's look at the basics of bladder problems and what causes it. First off, let's look at the symptoms. Now, the symptoms can, for example, here include, say, frequent urination, and you feel like your bladder is like almost always full, even though you just emptied it. There's also a very strong burning sensation when you urinate, and sometimes even there could be blood in your urine. Now, bladder infection starts when bacteria get into the urethra, which is also a tube that carries urine out of the body. And then bacteria make their way into this passage, moving towards the bladder. And then it causes an infection. Now, if you've had one, then I don't have to tell you how painful it can be because it completely ruins your day. And the most common cause for this bladder problem is from the E. coli bacteria that enters your bladder, resulting in an infection. Now, bladder problems can also be caused by low estrogen levels, such as menopause. They could also be because of prostate enlargement and leaky bladder as well. Now, another trigger point for bladder problems could also actually be, interestingly enough, from what I've observed in my research, is using unclean public bathrooms. Now, just the smell of even a dirty bathroom can actually trigger a very strong pre-existing emotional stress associated with disgust and feeling offended. So much so that you can almost have a physical reaction in your bladder, that it could trigger a dormant bacteria in your bladder to become active again. And this has been a very interesting observation for me throughout the years of my work. And most people, and here's the interesting part even more, most people didn't even use the bathroom after they could smell and see how dirty it was. Just being in it, smelling the scent of urine and dirtiness was enough. It's very interesting. I'm now going to share also here with you and discuss the psychological stress behind bladder problems and its symptoms. However, I will go into a lot more detail in my premium membership site, which you can find at evetterosepremium.com for the online healing course. Let's now move on to the topic of where the emotional body and psychological programming starts to take place early in your life. Because as you know by now, there's a very strong relationship between emotional stress and also how it connects to and becomes associated with a memory in the biological body, responding and reacting to environment, and also the relationship interactions that you have in this case. Now, how your psychological stress can impact you in certain areas of your physical body also depends on the type of emotion and the intensity of that. So you are either suppressing or, for example, consciously feeling an emotion. Now here, let's break down bladder problems and also the causes and the symptoms along with the messages held in the emotional body. Now in this case, we're looking at bladder infection, which is normally, as I said earlier, is caused by a bacteria. So when we look at the psychological stress that can cause you to be more vulnerable to bacterial infections, are normally suppressed feelings of guilt or regret, meaning that they could have perhaps been decisions that you made or circumstances that you are now in that you deeply regret or that you feel guilty about. However, despite any feelings of guilt and regret, there can also be a deep sense of strong feelings associated with injustice and feeling treated unfairly. And now you're pissed off. So basically, you're upset and you're really angry about it. Now, the guilt and the regret comes into play when you perhaps regret not correcting certain boundaries that have been crossed in the past that now has caused the situation perhaps that you are in. Or it could also be that you feel too guilty to stand up for yourself, to claim your power and to claim your authority within a relationship situation, or perhaps a work dynamic or even a friendship dynamic. And now you regret it. So here, when we look at the bigger picture of infection, it means that there could be suppressed anger that has now become toxic for you because of the amount of it that you've been holding in. And your body does not want to hold the strong emotion anymore. It's now robbing you of your health, happiness, and also inner peace. And it is showing you that you don't have to always be the peacekeeper anymore. Now, another angle to bladder problems or infections is that in some cases, a bladder infection can be so severe that it moves into your kidneys, causing even more discomfort and pain. And when this happens, then we are looking at deep resentment because of circumstances that you now feel stuck in. And your anger has now poured over into a very strong resentment. And it's almost like seething anger. And your emotions have now almost literally become toxic to you. And another observation here, while we're on that subject, that I want to share here with you is that what I have learned also about this condition is that when it moves to your kidneys, it also means that anger have now become your way of establishing boundaries. Right? You draw perceived positive benefits from this negative state of mind. However, your body is also now showing you that this cycle and pattern is now connected to your emotional health and also to your detriment. So you also here tend to store a great deal of your daily emotional irritations in your bladder and then also in the urinary tract. So when you are overwhelmed with a lot of stress, a lot of irritating feelings and feeling pissed off, it can almost physically surface in these areas. And what this condition can be showing you is that there's a big part of you that's resisting being controlled by an authority figure. And this could say be a boss, it can be a mother or a father or a sibling. And as a result, you feel a great deal of anger towards this person and it's basically challenging you. Right? That person's presence is challenging you. And you're feeling angry because you feel like, I feel powerless. I don't know how to act or react because regardless of how you act and react, that person just has this magic wand to just make you feel that you're not being heard or listened to. This condition is also showing you that you are feeling unsafe to express yourself towards this person as well. Right? You often revert to aggression in order to emotionally protect yourself. Or it could be that aggression, instead of projecting it outward, you keep it inward and you become passive aggressive. Also here is a deep fear, along with this condition as well, is a deep fear of being ridiculed, feeling punished or feeling attacked. And it causes you to feel like you just want to withdraw and you become a one-man island. And that's when your self-isolating pattern starts. Now here also the aggression can also form a buffer between you and an abuser or an influential person that is challenging your self-worth or your territory. And you might also have had a very conflicting relationship with an authority figure. And often, normally in this case, it could be a male figure or a father figure, or it could be a female figure as well that perhaps could have been very masculine. Now, an influential figure in your life may never have given you the chance to really fully express yourself, leaving you feeling powerless. And you feel extremely irritated by someone who invalidated your opinions. Now, this is often also a childhood pattern that is now just repeating itself in your adult life, coming full circle. You also might find it really challenging to control your own personal desires. And also your motivation and your talents may have been attacked by these influential people or person, which has now challenged your ability to feel that, yes, I can become successful. Or even to feel or maintain the feeling of success, even though you did become successful. Now, coming back to the bathroom situation that I was explaining to you earlier, sometimes you also might have completely not emptied your bladder when you visited the restroom. Now, this means that you're not completely letting go of your resentment and your anger towards someone. And you often feel very angry that you don't feel like you can get away from this person who is pissing you off. And you're also not resolving the issue that's now here in this case that's upsetting you because there's a fear of confrontation. And you could also have had a very recent quarrel that stirred up feelings and triggered emotions associated with resentment. Now, there's another emotional angle here that you can look at, and that is feeling disgust towards someone or circumstances that you are in. And this is also accompanied perhaps even with feelings of sexual disgust even sometimes, especially if you have a history of sexual abuse and your partner now is unintentionally triggering this in you, because it could be in one way or another that you still are struggling, you're still fighting against feelings of disgust, shame, and guilt when you have sexual needs. Or even, for example, you might feel disrespected by your intimate partner. And once again, it's unintentional. It's just your predisposition and your emotional reaction because of past memories. I also just quickly want to touch on this topic that if the person struggling with bladder infection is a child, then what could also be happening here is that it begs the question, what is the child's mother relationship like with her partner? Are they having problems? Is the mother being submissive towards her spouse? Is the mother resenting this controlling or dominant role in the family? Also here explore the child's relationship with their father as well, because often the father could very well quite be very dominant or very harsh and controlling. And this is affecting the child's relationship with them. And this might also result now in creating a fear of men or authority figures in this child's life, because they perhaps now learned that people in authority can be very challenging. And they also have to give their power away, and that they're not allowed to establish their own territory or sense of space and place, which is also what the bladder is about. Because when you look at even the reason why animals use it, it's also, of course, to relieve themselves and to also mark their territory. So that burning sensation, that anger and frustration of feeling like I cannot claim my place in space in my own home. So guys, thank you so much for all these great questions and keep asking them. And until next time, be the light that you are. Hi guys, thank you for joining me, and remember to grab your copy of Metaphysical Anatomy on Amazon, 679 medical ailments. And I also wrote about the psychosomatic root causes of that, and I'm spoiling you because I even added key points for you to start looking at important questions that you can ask yourself to start improving your quality of life. And also remember to catch me on Instagram, Evette Rose, 1 with the digit 1, and Metaphysical Anatomy on our Facebook fan page. Bye guys!